All right, we'll open it up for questions.
Plus, we live in a world where the narrative is often like college coaches are trying to get out because they don't want to recruit, they don't want to do NIL, whatever. What made you do the opposite and sort of go from the NFL to the college game?
It's kind of a funny story because when I left college football in June of 2021, I didn't leave because I didn't like recruiting or I didn't like what the transfer portal bring in. When I actually left, NIL wasn't a thing. I left in June of 21, NIL became a thing like July 31st of that year. So I kind of missed the whole NIL wave, but me, I'm still young. I'm 29 years old. I love young people. I like building relationships. I like recruiting young men and getting them here, develop them so they become grown men and they leave here. And whether they play in the National Football League or whether they go work for a Fortune 500 company, I just want to develop people. And you could do that in the National Football League, and you could do that in college. So it really didn't make a big difference to me.
Coach, what are your overall impressions of the receiving corps?
We have a couple young ascending players. Daryl Gill is stepping up. Yazid Haynes is doing his thing. Teron Hill, an early enrolled freshman, he's making strides. And then we got old guys, too. Like, we got Amari Hatcher. We got Jackson Meeks, who transferred in from Georgia. We got Trevor Pena. So we got a good mix of old guys and young guys with something to prove. So we're just out here every day trying to get better.
Meeks is unfortunately out the rest of the spring, but what did you see from him before he had to go out with the surgery?
He's a guy who's playing like he has something to prove. He spent 3 years at Georgia, didn't see the field how he wanted to, so he came here. He's been a leader in the weight room. He's been a leader in our wide receiver room, and he's showing the young guys how to do it. He's won 2 national titles at Georgia, so he kind of has that championship DNA in him already, so he's trying to bring that to our receiver room, and I think guys look at him as a leader, and he's playing like he has something to prove, and unfortunately it will be done for the rest of the spring, but with his attitude and his work ethic, he'll come back strong.
How much in the opportunity to work with Coach Brown drew you here? Did you know him before? What was your connection from?
Yeah, it was funny. So I was actually Coach Brown. I was friends GA at Rutgers in 2020. Coach Yano's first year. He was a DB coach. I was actually his GA. So that's where the relationship crossed over, and we stayed in touch all throughout the years. And once he got the opportunity to become a head coach, he's a guy I look up to. So it was a no-brainer.
What were some of the things you did as a GA? For those that don't necessarily know how the hierarchy works.
Oh, for the GA, every terrible job in college football you can possibly think of, I've done all of them. Make airport runs, pick up drunk recruits from official visits, chauffeur parents around, set up the head coach's house for donor events. Do everything possible can after the big high school camps we have at like 12 o'clock at night, pick up the trash around the field. Any possible terrible job you can think of, I did it. And, monitor class check, monitor study hall. So also I could coach football, but I did that to my best of ability, and luckily I'm here where I am now. But did every terrible job in college football you can think of.
What are the biggest things that you took from Bill Belichick and from being in that NFL universe?
Sure, you got time? Just Coach Belichick's the ultimate professional. I mean, he's won 6 Super Bowls as a head coach, 2 as a defensive coordinator, coached in 9 as a head coach. So he's a guy just seeing what he puts in every single day. Like, he was always the first one in, last one to leave, and just how much detail and how much film study and how much he really watched. Like, if you have a conversation with him, he's like a living encyclopedia of football because he was a coaching since the 1970s, way longer than I've been alive. So he literally, it was incredible. Like, we'd be playing a team, like, he could get the whole depth chart, and he could tell you where everyone went to college, their height, their weight, their speed, their measurables, their strengths, their weaknesses. He knew everybody in the NFL because he was also the GM, so he had to scout all these guys too. So it was just crazy how much knowledge he knew. But my first year there, I was his defensive quality control, so I did everything with him, and he taught me a lot of football. So the lessons I learned from him are endless. I'm trying to apply them here every day.
Do you have a favorite Belichick story? Like when people ask you what he's like, that you're willing to share with us?
Oh man, shoot. Some of them might have some colorful language. I'm trying to think of a decent one, but I remember my first time because I was a defensive quality control coach, and we have to run a scout team. So, you have to show the guys the card, and you got to run back. And I swear, I was like 25 yards behind the play, and Coach is behind the offense. He's like, Ross, get the F back. Get the F back. I said, Coach, I'm 25 yards deep. So I literally ran to the end zone and sprinted in like 60 yards after the play was done. So that was kind of a little funny story.
When he switched you from the defensive side to the offensive side, what was the conversation around that and maybe his rationale there?
The conversation was actually funny. So I'm gonna tell you the real about the conversation. So the way the Patriots kind of did everything, they brought you in for your first year, and they had an option to renew you for 2 more years. So I was walking back with a cafeteria, and I had a burrito. I don't know why I bit off the right corner. That was just what I did at the time. So I'm walking back with a burrito in my hand. And Coach Belichick stops me up. He's like, "Hey, Ross, like, come in my office." I'm like, "Oh, dang." He's about to tell me, like, thank you for a year. I'm out of here. So he pulls me in, and he was just like, "Yeah, you know, you did a heck of a job for the defense last year. You did a good job helping Coach Pellegrino, Coach Belichick with the Coach Brian Belichick, his son with the secondary." He was like, "So Coach McDaniels left and took the head coaching job for the Las Vegas Raiders, and there was a couple spots open on the offensive staff, and he was like, you know, a good coach could coach anything." He was like, "What do you think about coaching wide receivers?" And I mean, I wasn't gonna say no. We were about to get promoted, so I said, "Yeah, I'll coach them wide receivers." So that's kind of how it happened. And my whole first year there, I was blessed because on our offensive staff, I had Coach Nick Cayley, who's the tight ends coach for the LA Rams. You know, Troy Brown, Patriots legend. We all kind of worked together, and we put together the passing game, and they helped me with everything. And then I had a good group of players, man. I mean, Jacoby Myers, Devontae Parker, Nelson Aguilar. You know, Tyquan Thornton was a rookie. I had Ty Montgomery. I had a really good group of players who, some of Kendrick Bourne, I don't want to leave him out. Those guys really embraced me, and we put in a lot of work in together, and we had some success. So it was a good thing, and I'm thankful for Coach Belichick for giving me that opportunity and believing in me.
Coach, being 29, how do you take advantage of that close age gap with your players?
I don't know, if you ask my players, I'm 29, but I have like an older soul. So it's not like I'm immature 29-year-old. So it was the way I was brought up. You know, my dad, he was a drill sergeant in the military. My mom worked in higher education. So I really had no leeway to do anything wrong in my house. So I kind of grew up faster and accelerated my development more than probably the average person. So I'm still here. I have energy. You can see I have cleats on. I don't know if the cameras can really see that, but I got cleats on right now. So I run around, have energy with the guys. But no, it's cool to be able to be close in age with them, listen to the same music as them. You know, I like some of the same clothes, not some of the craziness that they wear now, but close to some of the same clothes that they wear. So no, it's good. And really, I'm like an uncle / big brother figure to those guys. So it's good.
What'd your mom do in higher ed?
She worked a couple different jobs, but right now she's a dean at Case Western, not Case Western, sorry, Mom. Lorain County Community College over there, and it's right by our house, so she's a dean right now.
Dean.
Yeah.
Right, you can't mess around.
Nah, definitely not.
Coach, what improvements have you seen from the wide receiver room so far this spring, and what improvements are you looking to see from that group as we rattle down spring practice?
No doubt. So when we talk about just wide receiver play overall, I always tell them there's 3 things that people need to do their job at an elite level. One is knowing what to do. So that's one of them. That's knowing where to line up, what route do I have, how do I run this route, and then using technique from there. 2 is knowing how to do it. So we need to improve on knowing what to do and knowing how to do it. And then once we have that, we have to have the desire to do it longer and harder than our opposition. So if we can do those 3 things at a really high level, I don't think anybody will be able to mess with us. So that's what we're constantly trying to do every single day.
Seeing how a pro quarterback prepares, do you see that in Kyle McCord and how he prepares and runs this offense?
I do see a lot of pro characteristics out of him. Luckily, he's a grad student and he doesn't have a ton of classes, so he's always around the building. He's doing extra. He's pulling guys along with him. So I do see some pro characteristics in him, and he just got to be consistent with it. Just like all these guys, if making it to that next level is just consistency over time. Like, you can't be doing something for a couple of days and then let off. No, that has to be consistent. You got to continue to build on it every single day. So he's doing a good job of that.
Two more for Ross.
How different is the approach from the Patriots to here in terms of just coaching the receivers and how you get through to these guys?
I would say the approach isn't much different because every day my philosophy is I want to make these guys the best version of themselves. So whether you're a college player or an NFL player, the approach was the exact same. So I'm just trying to really just beat into these guys on knowing what to do, know how to do it, and having the desire to do it. And once we get those 3 things down, we'll be very good.
You have a group of guys that played last year.
Uh-huh.
Then you bring in outside bodies who are clearly brought in to compete with them.
Yeah.
How do you handle those conversations with those guys? You know, 'cause obviously, like, you know, I don't know. Right
Yeah.
there, life has been sort of mixed up for them a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. So me, I'm a very black and white guy, so the conversation is very blunt. Like, if you're the best player, you'll play. Regardless if you're a 5th-year senior, a true freshman, a walk-on. If you could help Syracuse win national championships, then you'll be out there on the field for us. If you can't, then you won't be. So whoever that is will be out on the field. And if you can't do that, then you won't be. It's very black and white. So those dudes have an open competition. You have a coach who's giving everybody in the room an opportunity to play. So now it's about what you put on tape. It's not about what you say. It's not about you're going to tell me what you're going to do. No, I'm going to press play on the film, and whatever it says, they tell me who's going to play.
Thanks, Coach.